If you're watching this video report, you're a gambler, just like me. So you understand where I'm coming from when I say that when you're in that groove, when you're in that long-term winning streak, which doesn't mean you're winning every single day, but you're basically consistently picking off the low-hanging fruit from the trees, it's a great feeling because you watch the games with a certain calmness. You're not scrambling, trying to find a winner, because you built that bankroll, you're playing with somebody else's money, and the games, you're handicapping them with clarity. You're gambling with clarity. It's a great feeling. And I've been doing this for 20 some years as a handicapper and gambling a little longer than that. And I learned to appreciate the winning streaks because, listen, guys, I know, just like you do, that they come and they go because we are just as easily victimized by the same types of positive and negative streaks that affects any hitter in baseball, that affects any team in any type of organized sport. It's just part of the game. There are no guarantees in gambling. Now, yesterday couldn't have gone any better for me. Cashed in with another best bet yesterday. Went between Middle Tennessee State and St. Mary's. Gave you Middle Tennessee State as one of the free picks here. Cashed in with St. Mary's, opened up a 15-point halftime lead, cruised to the win and cover against Virginia Commonwealth. And my bracket, phenomenal success. And I'll review that for you in just a moment and get you some more complimentary plays. But before we go forward to Friday's card, I think it's important that we take a look at how Thursday's action played out. You know, I think at face value, if I asked most of you, boy, didn't the underdogs have a great day yesterday? You'd probably say, oh, yeah, because the dog upsets, the dog covers, they're the ones that always leave the biggest impressions upon us. But in reality, yesterday, the favorites and the dogs, 8-8 split in Vegas, okay? The really weird thing is that four favorites, all the favorites in Milwaukee, covered yesterday. 8 favorites overall, 4 of them coming out of Milwaukee. Go figure, right? Iowa State, Purdue, Middle Tennessee State, and Butler was that quartet that covered. The other favorites that covered yesterday, Arizona, St. Mary's, Florida, and Wisconsin. Double-digit dogs yesterday, 3-2 against the spread. Two outright underdog winners, Xavier over Maryland and Northwestern against Vanderbilt. And my God, you saw what happened in that Vanderbilt game, right? I mean, God, doesn't your heart just break for that guy from Vandy? I mean, just a total mental gaffe, one that he'll never forget. And what a devastating one for the Commodores after they rallied from that 15-point second-half deficit. Now, in terms of me, my bracket, I said going into the tournament, and I've always maintained that in order to have any success in the brackets, in the pools, that you've got to come out of the first round of play with 22 to 26 winners, bare minimum. Well, yesterday I went 14-2. And the 2 games that I had the toughest time picking, the Vanderbilt game against Northwestern and the Maryland game against Xavier. There you go. So 14-2 with my bracket. I will certainly take that. I'm not going to have any complaints. Here at the site, I told you going into yesterday that the coldest handicapper at the site was Brad Wilton. He naturally lost again yesterday. Anthony Redd, another cold handicapper. He eked out a win by the narrowest of margins by a half point or 1 point with Arizona again in the cover. The guys that were the hottest, well, they all won again, including yours truly. Leading the charge, however, would have to be Jack Raymond, who yesterday hit his 100-dime winner number 6 in a row with, Middle Tennessee State, yes. And today has the first ever 200-dime release of his career. It's its opening round blowout of the year. This is even bigger than that 150-dime play, which was only the third he's ever had on Central Florida in the NITs a couple of nights ago. Anyway, you got that for half price. You got yesterday's play for half price and today's play for half price as well. Just like my latest 15-dime top-rated selection, which I'm going for number 11 out of 13 in college hoops and 24 out of 36 overall. I think that plays Wichita State and Dayton, and that is half price as well. All your coupons, all your discounts are over on the homepage. Let's get to your complimentary plays. Yesterday, I took a split with the complimentary selections, going 2-2. Villanova, an agonizingly poor first half, another struggling shooting performance by one of their top players, Chris Jenkins. And this is just another one of the reasons why I don't think Villanova is going to repeat as national champion if you got my bracket. And Villanova did put on the Jets in the second half, but did not come close to covering against St. Mary's. That was a loser along with Nevada. The Wolfpack gave a good effort against Iowa State, but came up short. The winners were Middle Tennessee State and Texas State in the College Insider Tournament. For today's complimentary plays, let's see, I want to run them in reverse chronological order for you. So let me just see, what is the late game? Actually, there might not be any late games. Oh, here's one. Let's start with this one. Let's do the Rhode Island game out in Sacramento. I've been riding Rhode Island here recently on the video reports. Team that needed to close with a surge in order to just get their names on the bubble in terms of consideration for the dance. And they did so by winning their final 5 games of the regular season, knocking off VCU along the way, the biggest of those wins. Then they entered the Atlantic 10 tournament, and they really dominated in that tournament. First, they opened up, they beat St. Bonaventure last Friday, 74-63, a game in which they shot 55.8%. Then they beat Davidson on Saturday, a Davidson team that extended them to overtime in the regular season finale in Rhode Island, while they beat Davidson in Pittsburgh, where the Atlantic 10 tournament was being played, by 24 points last Saturday. Shot 59% in the first half of that game, finished shooting 49.2% in that contest. Then they beat VCU for the second time in 2 weeks, 70-63 last Sunday. Shot 44.4%, not quite as hot as the previous 2 days, but defensively they did it again, held the Rams to 31.3% shooting. And that's the Rams calling card, the Rhode Island Rams calling card. It's their defense. Number 31 defense in the country, giving up an average points per game yield of 64.9. That's number 1 in the Atlantic 10. That's over 7.5 less than today's opponent, the Creighton Blue Jays. Creighton, number 19 in scoring. They average about 82 points a game, nearly 9 more than Rhode Island. But the thing with Creighton, not a good defensive team, as I pointed out. They allow opponents to shoot almost 44% from the field. Creighton, also a very weak rebounding team. Even though they've got Patton in the middle, the freshman, who's probably going to be a future NBA first-rounder here in the draft, still, they are a weak rebounding team. Plus, they are a team that, since they lost their starting point guard, Maurice Watson Jr., back on January 16th to a season-ending knee injury, they've just been a middling team, overall, going 7-8 straight up. Now, they had a nice performance in the Big Ten tournament, or the Big East tournament, knocking off Providence in their opener, eventually advancing to the championship game where they lost to Villanova. Creighton always has a shooter's chance. I will certainly give them that credit, but still, this is not the same Blue Jays team when they had Watson in the lineup. They were 18-1 with him, 7-8 without him. Defensively, they struggled. They're not a good rebounding team. Rhode Island, yes, they have won 8 straight games. Remember, a lot was expected of Rhode Island coming into this season. Started fast, hit an extensive slump, but then they finished strong. And I like a team riding that type of momentum. So I'll take Rhode Island in this contest, noting that Creighton also 2-5 against the spread last 7 games. Even though Creighton has played 16 teams that are in the tournament. 16 teams they've played in the tournament this year. I still like Rhode Island and the momentum to carry the Rams to the win. I think one of the other real interesting games today is the SMU USC contest. Now, this one's being played in Tulsa. This is a rare rematch in the postseason. And how ironic that USC, which avenged last year's first round loss to Providence with a 75-71 win in Dayton 2 nights ago, to earn in the first 4 games the right to play SMU today, is now taking on an SMU team that is seeking to avenge a loss that it suffered at USC back on November 25th in the season 6 game, 78-73, when the Mustangs blew a lead that they carried into that contest in the second half when USC went on a nice little 19-4 run and put that game away. Here's the thing with USC's victory against Providence. On the surface, you heard me just say, hey, they won 75-71 the other night against Providence. But did you know that they were down by 15 points at halftime and 17 early in the second half? So they had to expend a great amount of energy to come back and beat the Friars in that game in Dayton, hop on a plane, go to Tulsa, now take on an SMU team. But yes, SMU had to play 3 games in 3 days to advance and win the AAC tournament in Hartford over this past weekend, and that was capped by Sunday's victory over Cincinnati. But they are certainly the more rested team, and they're motivated with revenge. Keep in mind that this SMU team is on a roll of 20 wins, 5 losses, and 1 push in their last 26 games. Not a bad run. They have won 16 straight games since a 2-point loss to Cincinnati back in the middle of January. That's their only loss in their last 27 games straight up. SMU gets it done with their defense. Number 3 in scoring defense in the country, 59.8 points allowed. That's over 13 points less than USC. Number 7 field goal defense in the country, holding opponents to 38.4% from the field this season. And they have held 24 of their last 27 opponents to under 66 points a game. The other thing that SMU does extremely well in terms of their play is rebound. Rebound margin, number 3 in the nation. We're talking right up there. Number 3 out of 347 Division I teams with a plus rebound margin of 9 boards a game. USC has a lot of talent along the front line, okay? Doesn't play in an overwhelmingly physical conference. I wouldn't say the Pac-12 is a big physical conference like the Big 12, for example. But USC rebounding margin, 0.6. 9.0, 0.6. 9 more rebounds a game. Now, what is SMU's flaw? This team has no depth. They're basically a 6-man rotation team. They've got 7 scholarship players. So you always run the risk that somebody gets into foul trouble or somebody's having a poor game. It's not like they can go to the bench and say, hey, let's call in the 6th man, the 7th man, because there is no 7th man, and there's rarely a 6th man. But I like the way SMU is playing. And this USC team played so miserably on the road this season. And again, as I always like to say, it's a neutral court game, but if you ain't sleeping in your home bed, it's a road game. So I'm willing to take SMU in revenge minus the 6.5 points in this one. That's another complimentary play. Here's another play similar to the play that I gave you yesterday on Villanova, which did not pan out. Duke is a 20-point favorite today. This game, of course, moved out of Greensboro because of the legal controversy and moved to Greenville, South Carolina. But it's still, in essence, a home game for the Duke Blue Devils, right? Troy, I talked about Troy a number of times during the Sun Belt Conference. Gave you a free pick with Troy over Texas State, in fact, on Sunday in the Sun Belt Conference Championship game. Nice little run for Troy. 6 straight wins. 4 of them coming in the Sun Belt Conference Championship when they beat Appalachian State, Georgia Southern, Georgia State, and Texas State. Those 4 teams, I don't think you could find one starter among those 4 teams that would be a starter on the Duke Blue Devils. That's just the facts of life. Troy's a nice team. They've got a couple of really good players, and they're a good defensive team. But I'll say the same thing that I said about Villanova yesterday. If Duke is motivated, Duke can blow out Troy today. Simple as that. It's a 20-point margin. It's not 26. It's not 24. It's not 15. But it's 20 points. This is a team, Duke, that is peaking right now, as you saw in the ACC tournament when they took care of business, right? This is a Duke team that has so many offensive options. You know, it's not a Grayson Allen, Emile Jefferson team. You saw in the ACC tournament where Jason Tatum had some big games, and they got Luke Kennard, and they have so much talent. Again, if they show up and they want to play, they win this game easily and cover the 20-point margin. And they're 7-2 against the spread in their last 9 Big Dance outings. This is Troy's first postseason appearance in the dance since 2003. A lot of people say, hey, Troy averages 78.4 points a game. Duke only averages 80. But seriously, Duke does it against the ACC. Troy does it against the Sun Belt. That's why I'm going to go with Duke in this contest as your other complimentary play. So the free play is Duke, SMU, and Rhode Island. That'll do it for this Friday video report. And I'll catch you again bright and early on Saturday when we do this one more time.